Public Safety Committee. Today is August the 22nd. Current time is 1:06. Our first item of business is to review and approve the minutes of August the 8th. If there are no additions or corrections to the minutes, we'll entertain a motion to approve as written.
I move for approval.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're going to call up the first item, which is going to be the Greek Food Festival. We kind of going out of order here. The applicants for the Greek Food Festival. It's the applicant here. Okay. Did they know this one? Okay. All right, do we have a protein?
I don't have an issue with it, but
You don't have an issue? Okay.
it is every year.
Well, this is the annual Greek Food Festival that's held on 19th Street and 3rd Avenue South, and the parking lane is on 3rd Avenue South and 4th Avenue South. So this is their annual, so they're applying for a special retail liquor license. And I'm going to ask the Council Pro Tem, does she have any questions or any issues with this item?
No, ma'am, I move for approval.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, that item passes, and we'll send it to the council agenda for a full vote. The next item that we're gonna go with is Mr. Rico Harris, I Push magazine, I Push Food Festival. Mr. Harris, could you come up and state your name for the?
Yes, what's your name?
Just right here. Uh-huh.
My name is Rico Harris, I'll Push magazine.
So tell us about the food festival. This is how many years now?
This will be our 5th year doing the food festival. It is a spin-off of ESC Festival. It's an indoor-outdoor 21 and up event. This year we grew to 2 days. The first day is a community event for Ian Slade with a health fair, all-kid fashion show, petting farm, food trucks and vendors and such. Second day will be the annual foodie festival. We have quite a bit of vendors out, entrepreneurs, artists. We have really became an event for the up-and-coming artists, business owners, artists, things like that.
Okay, what day the food festival is gonna be on?
September 3rd.
Okay. All right. You got questions for you? Okay, Ms. Brown, are they in good standing with taxes and revenue? Okay. All right.
I move for approval.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, Mr. Harris, we're gonna send that item to the full council for a vote. Thank you.
Make sure we get an invite too, so we can go
Absolutely.
eat.
All right, we're gonna circle back. We're gonna move down to item 4. It is a resolution pursuant to subsection 11-40-1, subsection -11-47-11, subsection 11-4355 of the Code of the Alabama 1975, authorize the mayor to expend funds and execute contracts for the Birmingham Police Department to host the second annual Women in Law Enforcement Leadership Conference from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Monday, September 11th. The mayor shall be authorized to execute such contracts and documents as may be necessary for the use of facilities, catering, and speakers for the event, in accordance with the Birmingham General City Code, subsection 3-1-7. The total amount to be expended for the event shall not exceed a total of $7,000. Said funds should come from GIL 031-202-39 00039-004.52705. Event Center and Catering is GL 032-202-39-000-39-001.523-006. Food catering only. Submitted by Deputy Chief Finney. So here I see some people from BPD here. Detective Malden, can you come up and tell us about this item, please?
Hey, good afternoon. Lieutenant Malden with Birmingham.
Lieutenant, I'm sorry, Lieutenant Malden. Let me make that correction.
So the Birmingham Police Department, we're excited to host second annual Women's and Leadership Conference this year, which the theme for this year is Crossing the Line. This event will be held on Monday, September 11th, located at 1620 Second Avenue North. BPD is collaborating with Birmingham Fire and Rescue to put on the event not only to celebrate public safety, but women of all professions.
I had an opportunity to attend this event on last year. Very great event, made a lot of great connections, and really want to highlight the women that are in leadership with Birmingham Department of Transportation. Chief Finney and Chief Mack did an extravagant job. We just want to keep on extending our hand out to our great men and women that keep us safe in this city. You have any comments for Pro Tem?
Nope. I vote for approval.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Lieutenant Marvin, that item passes the agenda city to the council for a full vote. We're going to go back up to item 1, the Tea Shop Bar and Grill. We're going to ask the applicants to step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon, Sade Jazz.
Jeff Brown, address is 4847, Mr. Harrison Jr. Boulevard, 35212.
All right. Detective Langford, are there any incidents for this location?
We want to make sure it's not under you all. You all purchased the building, or you leasing it from the,
We're leasing it from Mr. Mike and Tony right across the street.
okay. And he asked where Jimmy's across the street.
It's not Jerry's across the
Yeah,
street.
Jerry's, that's
No,
what-
you have Jerry's here, it's what's next to Jerry's.
Okay, what's the name of it?
That's his laws.
Okay.
Right.
All right. We had 12 calls there. We had 4 reports that was done. We had 1 report that was done by you, sir. And it wasn't really nothing that had anything to do with any incident, but it's an incident that happened with theft of property from yourself. All right, back in June, Detective Pitts went to that location when it was another club at that time. That's what we wanted to make sure that wasn't you all, and y'all was associated with them in any type of way, trying to open up in another name. Okay, but that is not so, correct?
Correct.
Okay, all right, but he wrote them a citation and shut them down.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Ms. Blandish, does this location meet zoning requirements?
Madam Chairman, this location is on CB2, meaning it's in a contingency general business district zone, and it does meet zoning requirements.
Okay. Ms. Brown, are they in good standings with taxes and revenue?
Yes, there is.
Okay, is there anyone from the public here to speak for or against this item? Okay, the applicants met with the Neighborhood Woodlawn Association on 8/14/2023. The neighborhood was unanimously supported this effort 8-0. So the neighborhood is, Jason Avery is the president for the Woodlawn Association, so they do solely support this establishment. Madam Pro Tem, do you have questions for the applicant?
No.
Okay.
I move for approval.
I second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that item passes this Public Safety Committee, and we'll send it to the council for a full vote. Good luck, thank you. All right, so the next item we have is old and new business. So we're gonna bring up Ms. Carrie Butane, the Executive Director from the Jefferson County Family Resource Center, to give us an update on the Restore program.
Good afternoon.
Good
morning.
I brought,
Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
yes, ma'am. Hey, Counselor. Carrie Bunton, Jefferson County Family Resource Center. We run the Restore program. I also have with me Jermaine Stanton and Mr. Ansky Williams, our Restore coordinators. Address 120 Second Court North, room 214A, Birmingham, Alabama 35204. And I brought y'all presentations of, I didn't know if we were going to have access to a PowerPoint, but Mr. Stanton and Mr. Williams have put together this magnificent PowerPoint for us, if you don't mind, right here, that kind of gives you an update as to where we are since the council gave us the Restore funding that kicked off on March the 1st. So, a couple of things that you will see. The Restore program, we slated our first, yes, go ahead, please. And there's an extra, there should be an extra, or that might be, whatever. There's plenty of extras right here.
Yeah, you get them to the council.
Yeah. The Restore program is based off of a selection committee process. The selection committee is 7 people. It has 2 juvenile detention officers, 2 probation officers, the Restore coordinators, myself, and a mental health and a substance abuse provider. Currently right now in the very back of your program, you will see the spreadsheet of the 38 people that we have screened in and out of the program. I've also got statistics at the bottom that shows you kind of what we're looking at. When we first presented to the City Council, we had this presentation that talked about the homicide rates, the murder rates, and the indicators inside family court for the victims and the perpetrators. And so some of those that we tracked were prior dependencies, which means DHR involvement, prior delinquencies, which means criminal involvement for a child under the age of 19 or majority, and then educational school system environment, early warning, and truancy. So we continue to track those numbers, but we also started tracking gang affiliation and mental health diagnoses. As you can, and CHINS. CHINS means child in need of supervision. That used to have a little more teeth to it now in the juvenile justice system. It is where a parent or a guardian can bring a child to family court and order them, quote unquote, to engage in services, and if they don't engage, then they can move on to a delinquency charge. So we wanted to show you that 61% of our kids have prior DHR involvement. 18% of our kids have prior truancy involvement, but a lot of those kids, their first contact with family court is when they are 6, 7, 8 years old, and their parents have not taken them to school. And then all of them, in order to qualify, have to have a history of delinquency. We did track CHINS, 24% there. History of domestic violence, I know that's a big deal for the U.S. Attorney and for DA Carr, so we've been tracking those numbers too. And then gang affiliation, we are sitting at 50% who actually affiliate with gangs. We get that information from the social history questionnaire that the probation officers do when they are engaging with the family, but also when we are doing our intakes and the guys have the opportunity to work with and interview the participants and kind of get a real feel, like asking, what's your name on Facebook? How can I follow you? What is your handle? That kind of thing. And then the mental health diagnoses were at 63%. So that is just pure data that we get from the mental health representatives that sit on the selection committee. But one thing that we learned pretty quickly is that we needed to be able to reach more kids. And in doing so, the guys started going next door to the detention center. They would get recommendations from probation officers about young people who really needed some interventions. So they started going to the detention center and holding one-on-one kind of sessions with these youth that have been identified either by family, PO, or any other service provider as really needing services. And then it became pretty obvious that as these youth were rolling out of detention and back into the community, that they still needed to have that consistency, that support base, and to continue those one-on-one sessions. They're not necessarily therapeutic in the mental health way, but they talk about cognitive behavioral therapy, how to conduct yourself appropriately, what are your core value systems, how do you consider your family, who is your support system, how can we engage those support systems so that you understand that you don't have to live necessarily the life that's based on you. Then we continued to expand on that and allow for workshops this summer using Mr. Williams' community center down in the West End. A lot of our participants are a lot more comfortable there. It's not in the courthouse, it's not in the detention facility, it's right there. We have laptops now so they can engage in workforce development. They can do job applications, thank you. But the coolest part about, and this is just a side note for me, these kids are 16, 17, 18, 19, and they're hard. But they start talking about their experiences in the Restore workshop, and they start bringing their friends. Like at 10 in the morning on a Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, during the summertime, I'm like, you got your buddy to come, and he's 16? I mean, it's just that effective, and it is starting with detention, building that rapport, building those relationships, making the participant just as aware of their Restore coordinators as they are of us. And really starting the basis of those really important relationships. And our guys do not work 9 to 5. If our kids have a crisis and they need to be picked up on a certain side of town at 4 o'clock in the afternoon because X, Y, and Z happened, they're going to go and those kids are going to get to where they need to go. So we promised the city council that we would serve 120 children, 120 youth. I can't say children, these kids have way more experience in life than that. 120 youth in a year. We have been operational for 3 months, and including the participants that we continue to work with on the Restore program workshops, we've already served 119. I will say this time last year, full 2022, we had 49 youth murdered. Right now, 8 months in, we have 25, and not one of those are our kids. What you will see are the barriers that we discussed, lack of transportation. When we meet with these families and engage with these families, and we're talking about how can we get child from point A to point B, and we say Lyft ride, the parents are like, oh, thank goodness, because I don't have to take off work. You will also see in here a snapshot of a video that our gangs go back and forth with. And I believe Counselor Tate and I have sat down and watched it together. This video was taken at a park. There are children involved, there are young ladies. Only 50% of our participants will tell you that they are involved in a gang, but we know that it's a lot more than that. We also understand that one of the biggest barriers is lack of parental support. You know, grandma's tired, parents are tired. They're 16, 17 years in on trying to deal with this situation. But we think that, I mean, what these guys have done, just these workshops alone, we have gotten 13 of our youth enrolled back into school. So either through Community Care Development Network, traditional high schools, or Magic City Youth Build, we've gotten 13 of our youth back enrolled in educational programs. We've gotten tons of them identification, because you can't get a job and you can't get into a program if you don't have an ID. But a lot of these youth don't know that you've got to have, if you're underage, a Medicaid card, a Social Security card, and a birth certificate. And their parents don't always have that. We know that when we sit down and we've had these Restore workshops, there are 15, 16, 17 kids in that room sitting around just like this. And we know that at least 3 or 4 gangs are represented, but it doesn't ever pop off. Nothing has happened yet to date about any type of conflict. They are getting to realize that, yeah, you may be from West Side and you may be from East Side, but we have so much more in common than you may think. The established relationships that the coordinators are starting at the detention center and maintaining as these children, as these participants get back out into the community is one of the strengths of what we're doing, because it keeps them involved, it keeps them engaged. And we're engaging and involved with youth whose cases have already been closed to court. This is just on them now for that extra support. We've provided clothing for interviews, we've provided rides, we've provided identification. We are learning that these youth have never been given the opportunity to recognize what are their core values. What does your life depend on? What do you depend on? Who do you depend on? And that's where Ansky and Jermaine come in and really get down to the core of what you're dealing with in your life. Where's the dysfunction? Where does it come from? How do we address it? But the one thing that can either make or break a case is the family engagement part. And to a lot of credit, we have one family who comes, the teenager comes, his dad comes, and his dad brought his new little 3-year-old boy there. So we have a whole family, and the families reach out to the guys as well. Hey, I haven't heard from so-and-so. What's going on? How are things going? And we're able to really have a dual approach. The connection with education, I don't think can possibly be underestimated, especially with COVID learning loss and thinking about ways that these children do not thrive in these traditional environments. But other than that, we know that one of the gaps that we are seeing almost immediately is a lot of these youth from 16 to 19 have babies of their own. They're in that video that we watched. And how do you parent children who have never been parented, who are still technically still children? So we are working with some of our partners. The Community Care Development Network is working on a fatherhood initiative that will hit some of our younger folks. And we also know that we need to do better about serving our young ladies. This program was written for and based on information that we drew that was predominantly African American males. Now we are seeing our 14-year-olds who are picking up attempted murder and murder charges, and the young ladies, but they have the same type of dysfunction. And so we are really looking at different ways to engage those young ladies and to do it having two male facilitators. But we have provided some of the coolest stuff ever is that these kids come in, participants come in on Tuesday, Thursday, they do their workshops with the guys, and then they can sit down and work with providers. We have gotten 12% of our kids ID restoration, 37% are now registered voters. So Faith in Action comes in and talks to them about the importance of having a voice while you still can. Education, like I said, 33% of them. A lot of our kids are straight up hungry. So during these Restore workshops, we provide lunch. And we work with the Pantazis family to make sure that they get something to eat, because they're, especially during the summer. What we are learning since school getting back in is now that we've done so well in getting our youth back into traditional or other educational programs, we're trying to move those workshops so that they will be more approachable after school hours, so we can engage the same amount of kids without becoming our own form of barrier. Do y'all have any questions for me at that point?
The only question that I would, and I think we talked about this when we first came to council, one of the things that I really wanted to see you guys engage in was the restorative justice piece.
Sure.
Because I think it goes hand in hand, with this, especially when the kids are navigated it back into the community, you'll have that restorative piece where that truth and that reconciliation, has taken place. But I don't know, I know when we came last week, when Clean Lacey from CM3 Incredible Messenger mentor movement came, we did do a visit to the detention center. So I really can see where this can coordinate with the Credible Messenger movement, because Credible Messengers are on call 24/7.
Yeah.
And so that family dynamic and that engagement that you speak about is that's one of the core values of a Credible Messenger, along with the restorative justice piece. So all of these things, that this intense training that he will be coming here doing, and the individuals that will be vetted for the training will have a certification that say that you are part of the Credible Messenger movement, and you will have the skills and tools set to be out on the streets of Birmingham. So we're excited about that, really excited how this Restore can really coordinate and, become partners and work together because it's going to take all of us to do the work. And so that's the importance of building, out an ecosystem. So we have these things that the investment has been made, but it's all in one and everything simultaneously together, so everybody can know what everybody is doing. But I'm excited about the work that you guys have done, and really can see how the Credible Messenger training and those that we select to be trained for, messengers that can work. Because Clean Lacey, Mr. Lacey was the head of the juvenile detention and probation and parole in New York, and then he moved on into Washington, where he was over youth detention. So he was excited when we took him on a tour inside of the facility to really see how we could really work the messengers on the inside as well as the outside to help do what you're doing and, continue to be there for these young people and making sure they, like you said, young men and women being very productive in community. One of the things that I know is being a PO myself, and upon my retirement, is I saw females beginning to be the people that were getting in trouble. So when you look at the issue of mass incarceration, there is more women entering into correctional facilities than it is men. So I think you're on to something here to incorporate, a female component, to this and to keep supporting. So that's all I have is to, just really want to make sure that we incorporate a restorative piece, because all of this stuff is super important, especially when we're trying to restore traumatized people in their lives and get them on the right track.
And that's one of, I'm really hoping that we will be allowed to attend to that training with Mr. Lacy, Mr. Johnson with the city. Hey, honey. He's already introduced me to Mr. Lacy, and we've had a couple of chats via Zoom, but the work that he's doing, I think, fits seamlessly into this, and being able to be a support, an additional support. But at the same time, I think it is so important that CM3, that restore, that we are all speaking the same language.
Absolutely.
So that when we're engaging and dialoguing with our kids, they understand, and if we need to call somebody up on the other side of town and say, I got one for you,
Yes, sir.
we need to be able to speak that same language.
And I want to really commend Ansky and Jermaine.
Yes, ma'am.
Y'all for y'all incredible work, that you have done. Ansky and I are affiliated with a lot of the people that we know stop issues on the streets before they hit the streets. When it blows, that's all in a phone call.
Right.
So I want to commend you for giving up your families, your time and effort for doing what you guys are doing and making sure that you continue to get the skills and tools set that we can offer you all to, to level up. And so, and then also, I always have to thank Brandon Johnson, because I'm just riding on the heels of Brandon, with this stuff. He's put a lot of work in, him and Uche Bean, and so, and to the mayor who really made a commitment, to this. So, we're gonna do good here, but I'm gonna give the floor to the pro team, because I know she got some questions, because she is a big cheerleader when it comes to public safety. So I'm gonna be quiet, because I can keep talking.
How many youth would attend the workshops?
How many have attended?
Yeah, how many have?
So, altogether, at today, when that was created, it was 119 youth that had attended the workshops. That's, in the detention center and also at the Crescent Community Center as well.
I mean, at the Crescent Center, sorry. How many would attend at the Crescent Center?
Breaking it down, I
I think it's in there.
really can't say particularly without looking at the hard evidence.
So, whatever, maybe 44% of 119 is.
So it's 60, I want to say 67 youth have attended the workshops.
Okay.
I know it's a lot, I just didn't know.
So y'all do what days do y'all do it on? Just
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay.
All summer we did Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 to 11:30.
What about during the school year? You said something about during the school year.
Now it's from 4 p.m. to 5:30.
Okay, this is,
Starting the first week of February, right?
We get September 5th.
We
And
shifted
then
to
we
the
had-
after-school program.
Oh, I'm sorry.
she said February. You mean,
I'm in September.
September.
So, but we were beginning to see, we sent so many young men and women to Community Care Development Network that it was presenting that I don't want to go to school, I want to go to Restore. And so what we've done with our partner is now on Wednesday mornings, they go to Community Care Development Network, and they work with those same kids, so that we're eliminating those barriers, and we're not making these youth choose between one or the other. And it's in Center Point, which we know to be
Yeah.
quite a lot
that's far.
going on.
Yeah. that's
Yeah,
far.
so 3 days a week, the guys are engaging with our youth, and two of our most incredible cases that Aunt Ski is on are actually our young ladies. And, I mean, y'all know better than anybody, you're fighting since you're this big.
Yeah.
And they actually call and say, this is what I've got going on. And that type of rapport and relationship with somebody in a position of authority, but that is not a threat, is incredible. And then watching Jermaine work with his young men, I mean, he's gone, we've had one young man who went from just really on the cusp to getting him a job that pays well, getting him into school. And he's got an actual plan to get himself out of the street, but not like going up to his people and saying, I'm leaving, but doing it in a safe way
That's right.
and putting himself first. So their approaches, while they're different, are just as powerful.
And it's about building trust, you know, they gotta trust you. I mean, that's what all this is about. You gotta put the credible people, you know, in the community, so they can trust us when we come into the community, not just show up. You know, I want, what I envision as a public safety ecosystem, is just not showing up when somebody gets shot. It's working in the community 24/7.
Absolutely. That's good.
But there's also, Ansky went with the MAN project for an off-site camping trip at Oak Mountain, and Jermaine has been continuously doing work out in the community as well. So it's not just us, we are trying to use the people already on the ground to make sure that we can cover what's going on, because a lot of our kids who are court ordered, I mean, that's one of the first things you gotta tell them, look, please don't do something that you gotta put me in a position to get up in front of their honor and say, this is not going well. And so, you know, we have to make sure that they understand that, because they are at least our restore are court ordered, and they gotta play ball. It's not optional.
I did want to move. We also have 2 young men that will be graduating on October 3rd. Although they're going to graduate from CCDN, they'll be graduating with high school diplomas. But through dropout recovery, one guy's graduating from Woodlawn, and the other young man, I believe, will be graduating from Huffman.
That's so good.
That's wonderful.
Well, I just really want to say thank you, because you guys didn't have to do this, because I know it takes a lot for you to pour into other people as well. So I think what you're doing matters. Just being an aunt of 6 and a great aunt of 2, I know how it is to try to connect with kids, and it's hard and to gain that trust. So thank you so much, and thank you, Carrie, for all that you do. I'm very, very elated to hear these results.
And
Honestly.
this is what this is all about, accountability and data, numbers. Can't stress that enough. The data is going to prove the long-lasting effects that, and you're able to show what you're doing. You know, not somebody just lip syncing and saying, I can stop violence. Okay, who like you on impact? So when you see this in real time, it speaks volumes. So we're excited for you. You guys to come to this Clever Messenger training, meet Clinton Lasik, and he did get a, I think, did you see him?
Yeah.
So he actually had an opportunity to just see him briefly. But we just excited about what's to happen, and just to know that we changing the trajectory in the lives of, you know, people in the community, one family at a time. So I'm excited about this, and thank you again, as the Pro Sim said, for being able to come back and show us in real time. And again, thank Brandon Johnson for all the hard work that he's done to help move these projects forward. And
Yes,
so,
thank you, Brandon. I know you've been patient. You know, Brandon has been doing the work really for 5 years, and he is just, patience is a virtue, really, so thank you for that. You know, you'll never probably know what your work will do for the people of Birmingham 10, 20 years down the line, so thank you.
and lastly, before I close, you know, my thing that I'm doing is really championing for Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Center to start stand up in Birmingham. I know it's one in Montgomery, but I'm just real faithful that we're gonna have one, and then everybody will be, you know, running in that system will be running, and then all these agencies and everybody doing work, you know, will be there. And so, you know, showing people and giving them the tools and skills they need, and holding people accountable, because I think, for me, is we want to see the best people out here, the people that are doing the work for real and not further traumatizing or exploiting community. And so that's why my eyes and my antennas are up to make sure that that does not happen, because everybody out here talking, not walking. And so thank you, Carrie.
My pleasure, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right, Madam Pro Tem.
Well, I hope for adjournment.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Yes,
I got one thing, I made a mistake. Okay, this don't have anything.
Oh, sure.
It was on this, stuff with this
T-shop.
yeah, tea shop,
Okay,
The guy
yeah.
who was speaking, I didn't know that was Jeff Rouser. Okay, he sat there in line when I asked him was he had anything to do with the last, club, and he did. When I looked at the reports, and then from the tax license, and, we talked outside, they had already met with him and talked to him, but he's on both of these reports. He's from the last club, and he's one of the ones trying to open up this club. Okay, and I guess he's using, the young lady was with him, using her name or something, I don't know. But, Pitts wrote the citation to him.
Okay, we need a, motion to,
Reconsider, reconsider. Item one.
item one.
Okay.
Yeah, so, okay. They need to come back to public
Yeah,
safety
they
then.
need to come back.
We'll make
Yeah.
a, we're gonna make a motion.
It's just, yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
We'll make a motion.
I move to reconsider item one for the next public safety meeting.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye. No,
Aye.
you're fine. I move for adjournment.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, so we lost it.
You're gonna have to delay this.
We're
item.
gonna
Delay, okay.
Okay, well, I move to delay.
So the first thing is you're gonna withdraw
Withdraw, okay.
Okay,
your motion from earlier.
okay,
And withdraw the motion to reconsider.
gotcha. Thank you.
And make a motion to
Delay.
delay.
Yeah, get it right.
I move to withdraw, my item one,
Mhm.
and do we have to do?
Motion, you move to motion.
And I move
Say you can do it all in one.
Okay, I-
Motion to withdraw,
Okay.
the motion to approve,
Mhm.
item one.
Okay,
And, withdraw the motion to reconsider,
okay.
and you making a motion to delay the item to the next.
Okay, I move all those items.
Second, all in favor?
Do we have, I move for adjournment again.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you, Detective Rankin. You ain't playing with these folks. So he usually.
I am.
Crazy.
You know all these.
I'll see you. Okay.